What is up, and welcome to another edition of POTE. Very excited to be here this week. I was actually way more excited a few minutes ago. Well, no, an hour ago. No, I don't know when I was actually more excited. But at one point recently, I was more excited for this moment. But I think this morning, I woke up and I thought, you know what? It's going to be a really great day. And let me put it this way. I'm wearing pants with a drawstring right now. It's not bad. Believe me, it could be way worse. But we're doing okay over here. And really the most difficult thing I'm experiencing right now is pain. Physically, mentally, spiritually, just musically. We just got back from a road trip, and it was a phenomenal road trip. We were gone for a month, and plenty of time to get in our fix of Outback Steakhouse and Taco Bell, our two favorite kind of roadside treats. But since we've gotten back, we've been back a week and started working out again and eating better. I dare say eating right. Because, you can't live on Outback alone. I think that was a quote from the Bible. Man cannot live on Outback bread alone, even though it's pretty darn good. Yeah, so now it's, I've had a lot of vegetables today. And I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if my colon's ready for that kind of assault. I'm sorry to take it to that level immediately at the beginning of this podcast, but I'm just in that mood, where it's, and I had chickpeas for the first time in a long time, months maybe, and I feel so full. But on the flip side, lately, over the past couple of days, since I've been turning the diet around, I feel great. It's weird. You wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, everything doesn't hurt. My intestines aren't slow. That's how I jump out of bed every single morning. I'm like, ta-da! And then, God, that would be really annoying to wake up. I get why people hate fit people or people who eat good, because they're really annoying. They love telling you about it because I'm doing that right now, and it's oh boy, I want to punch me in the face. Believe me. I can see myself on the monitor right there, and I can't reach it, but if I could, you would bet that I would be punching that guy right there. Those of you listening to this, if you can't afford to watch this on YouTube, I'm pointing to, I've got a little monitor above the camera. And well, first of all, I have a camera, and then I've got a monitor above that and a monitor is just a fancy word for screen, so that I can see myself. Which is really the only reason I do this podcast, is to see myself. God, look at that guy. But yeah, that's how annoying, I get it. I get why people don't like Goop, and what's her face for, talking about wellness and all that stuff. Cause I get why they do it. I see both sides. I see all sides of this. I see the inside and the outside of that, of why people hate it and why people do it. And I don't have an opinion. I have opinion on so many other things, which we'll get to in a minute. But on that one thing, I don't have a big opinion. But you didn't come here for no opinions, so let's get into some topics. I was just reading through the news this morning. Oh, by the way, that's one thing. I do have an opinion on people who do that, which I think I've talked about on this podcast before. People who tell you when they had the thought that they're telling you right now. Why do they do that? Why did I just say that? They're like, oh, I was thinking the other day, what is the deal with corks? We can just screw them. Why do we have to plunge them in there? That guy's obviously an idiot. But I don't know why you need to tell me that you thought about it the other day. Just say, corks. Actually, don't say that. Don't say that either, please. If you're out there and you're thinking about maybe emailing or writing in or something. I did start an Instagram account for this podcast, by the way. It's POTE underscore pod. POAT underscore pod. It's on Instagram. But I figure since people are on the gram more than they're on email, maybe, it's a little bit easier to comment right in. No one says write in. This isn't like, okay, so send a self-addressed stamp envelope to 450 East 29th. No. That would, I don't know if there's even a radio station there. That'd be very weird if there was. But anyway, don't write in. Comment. That'd be fun. Follow and give me a follow. I'm at Anthony Ladon on Instagram. I'm really just telling my mom this. She's the only listener to this podcast, and I'm trying to get her on Instagram. She was on, and then I got off and told her how terrible it was because Facebook owns it, and it's terrible with privacy, and it's the devil. And then she's like, "Oh, okay, well maybe I'll get off too." And then I got back on, and now I don't tell her any updates anymore because I assume the world knows when I have good news because I just share them there and in my newsletter. But so now she did just get an iPhone, which is pretty cool for her. Not for me, because I am now designated IT support for her. It's a tough job, but it's a labor of love, really. And I'm so glad I get to be the one to help her with her brand new iPhone. Oh God. So anyway, I was reading the news this morning. There, I did it again. And you know what? We're not going to edit this. This is just going to be a one and done type of podcast. I don't know why. I could take the time to edit this and make it good, but you know what? I've been listening to a lot of podcasts lately, and I realize the bar is quite low. You can just put whatever out there, and people don't mind as much on the sound quality. It's about the content, of which I have none, to be clear. But I realize that it's easy. Take the pressure off. Just start making stuff. So here's a go. Here's a go. Anthony, Jesus. That's not the guy I want to see in the monitor, the one who says things like, here's a go. That happens a lot. That happens frequently to me. Not saying necessarily, here's a go, but do you ever have that happen where your mouth kind of moves faster than your mind? I mean, my mind is still 5 minutes ago. I'm still thinking about like, well, maybe I should get to the news articles that I was pulling out today. But my mouth is like, here's a go. And then my brain has to catch up and like, here's a go. What the hell? What are you thinking? Take your time. Slow down a little bit. But yeah, that happens all the time. And I can't stop it because I'm not in control. Road trip recap real quick. So we were gone for a month. It was a blast. We did Richmond. I got to look at a map when I actually pull these because we had a lot of days on the road, which was actually quite fun. This was something. So we started off, our first night was in Richmond, Virginia. And I got up at the Sandman Comedy Club there. Shout out to the guys at Sandman. Carlton, you run a hell of a show there. Thank you so much for having me on. That's a great club. It's in an old bank. So you have to, in order to get on the show, you have to fill out a deposit slip. And I had to open an account, actually, and they still have a lot of my money. Relatively speaking. It's not like I have much, but they've got most of it. But the show was great. A lot of fun local comics there. And then the next stop was Nashville. I think we drove, 10 and a half hours to get there. Spent a quick night there. It rained. We ran in the rain. It was quite romantic. Although my wife's foot is injured, and that was great, exacerbating that. So I offered to give her a piggyback ride, but she didn't take me up on it because I don't know why not. So yeah, and then we did Little Rock, Arkansas, Oklahoma City, which is in Oklahoma, and then Albuquerque, or as they pronounce it, Albuquerque. Alba, not Albu or Albu, it's Alba, which I'm on the fence about. I kind of like it because it shortened things a little bit, just takes the pressure off. It's Albuquerque. But I kind of feel like the U gets shortchanged there. I feel like it's earned its place there. It's a vowel. There's not too many of those. There are a lot of them in the word Albuquerque. So maybe, relatively speaking, it's not the end of the world. And then we hit Phoenix. And then on the way back, it was Santa Fe, a vet outside of Albuquerque on the way to Amarillo. Because, fun story, our dog had catastrophic diarrhea for the first, week of the drive home. which was if you've ever experienced a pet having constant and uncontrollable and catastrophic diarrhea, it is not as much fun as it sounds. I don't know how she got it, although her cousin, my in-laws' dog, was also sick for a few days in Phoenix, and we stayed with them. And I don't know if dogs can catch it from another dog or if they ate the same. We were actually joking because there's a lot of wildlife outside of Phoenix, and there's like coyotes and birds and stuff. And at one point, I think we were walking the dog, and I think Bailey may have like sniffed and or taken a lick of what we joked was prime scat. She doesn't normally like eat poop. She's not a normal, or that's not normal, but she doesn't do that. She's not a poo eater type of dog. But I was curious, because if it's a different kind, it's like foreign and wild, if it was like, oh, what's this delicacy? So however it happened, she caught a little bug, a big bug actually, and that came flying out repeatedly. Every hour almost, overnight and during the day, which was exceptionally joyful. It started on the day we drove, we were driving to Santa Fe, and Lauren and I had been looking forward to Santa Fe for a year, maybe 2 years, because it was one of our favorite cities in New Mexico. And we got there, and it was a mess. We were up every hour or two. I say we. Lauren was up every hour or two at night. I would take her out during the day, and it got to the point where there's not much left inside because we took away all of her food and water, and which is what you're supposed to do. It's not like it's not like that was a punishment. Like, all right, you got to tighten up, or else no food and water. That's not how it works. What you're supposed to do is take away food and water, and then give them like a little bit of water, like a couple of tablespoons at a time, and then watch that come flying out later. But that's why you do it. You take it away so there's nothing left. It's like taking away all the ammunition from a gun. And then, and believe me, Bailey she would walk out and go click, 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 and she found some ammunition. And we thought she got better, and then we gave her food, and it wasn't better. So every hour overnight, every 2 hours, and then we stopped by a vet in outside of Albuquerque on the way to Amarillo, and they're like, she's stable, but it's going to be a 2-hour wait to see the vet, because apparently that's when everybody takes their dog to the vet, was that morning. And we're like, well, how stable? Like, is she going to die? And they're like, no. And so we said, all right, cool. We'll just bounce then. So thank you to the vets in Albuquerque for telling us that our dog wasn't going to die so we could hit the road. And on the plus side, the every 2-hour stops on the road, we got out. It was a chance for us to stretch our legs, which is great. We were on Route 66 for part of it. If you've never driven Route 66, don't. You don't need to. There's not much on it. Unless you're like a real weird history buff and you love very slow roads. That's a great way to do it. But it runs kind of parallel. I can't remember what that freeway is. At 40? Is it I-40? I think it's 40. Yeah. So it runs, there's like, a historical Route 66 kind of runs parallel to that. So you can get on it, which is what we did. We got off of 40 onto 66 and pulled over so that Bales could just create another streak on the road, and that adds to a little bit of history. It's kind of her way of saying thanks to the to Route 66. But yeah, and then Amarillo, we found a lovely hotel there, and then Oklahoma City again on the way back, different hotel. Because so we're big Marriott loyalists. By the way, apparently that's how you're supposed to pronounce Marriott, is Marriott. I just learned this. I read something that it's like Harriet, but Marriott, because it's a family name. Anyway, but it was a points redemption, and they charged us $30 to use points, which I've read is not supposed to happen. So I called them. I asked them to get rid of it, and they're like, yeah, no problem. And I noticed that was a month ago. It's still on the receipt, still on the folio. So that's a reminder to myself to fix that. But I don't know what they think. Like, the guy on the phone, I called the hotel, and I'm like, hey, dude, what's going on? There's $30 charged for a points redemption. And he said, oh, no, that's not right. It shouldn't be that way. And I'll get on that. So he's still on it, which is great. I appreciate the effort. I know it probably takes him a long time to go Control-Alt-Delete and, make it magically disappear, but we're still waiting. Springfield, Missouri, one of the top 10 Springfields in the country, I would argue. That was fun. There was we actually stayed 2 nights there because the hotel was so beautiful. It was the Hotel Vanderbilt. No, Vandevort. I thought it was like an Albuquerque kind of thing. It was Vanderbilt. No, Vandevort. That was fun. And then St. Louis, we had drinks, by the way, at the Four Seasons. Shout out to Nate Burrows, a bartender there. Not only is he a fantastic bartender, he's a stand-up comic as well. A very funny guy. So if you stop in the Four Seasons, or if you're a comic in St. Louis, be sure to stop by and grab a cocktail from Nate. They actually there, I think it was the bar manager or whatever, knew what a jasmine cocktail was, which is, in my book, quite exceptional. Because normally I'll go to a bar, and if I want a jasmine, I just very politely say, hey, can I tell you how to make a drink that I really like? Which is, most bartenders are like, yeah, absolutely no problem. Because they're not like, it's not a pride thing for them. They just want to make sure. I think most of them are like, I would like to make you a drink that you enjoy drinking. And so he did. Nate made a jasmine perfectly. And then he asked the bar manager there, it's like, hey, have you ever heard of a jasmine? And the guy was like, gin, Campari, lemon, Cointreau. Yeah, nailed it, buddy. So good. I didn't get his name, but great bar manager. And then we went to, where did we go after that? Oh, Louisville. We spent a week in Louisville. Don't try to pronounce it Louisville. You will get shunned in the friendliest way possible because folks are pretty nice there. But it's still Louisville. The plan was to stay one night, maybe two. No, we were going to spend 2 nights there in Louisville. And I did an open mic on Wednesday night at the Louisville Comedy Club. And I was talking to a bunch of comics afterwards, and everybody's trying to get work there because it's a pretty new club, and it's a great club, by the way. It's set up so it's shallow but wide, which I really enjoy because there's a lot of rooms that are set up that are like a long hallway, and it's tough because you don't know. It gets very dark in the back, and you can't see anything, and plus when you're walking to the stage, sometimes it's like you got to walk. It's almost like you're getting married, and you start sweating again, and you have to. Thank the father of the bride to get the microphone. But it's, I like the shallow wide rooms because it's, you can kind of turn around and play to a bunch of different people. It's a great room. Anyway, that's the point. So stop by there, Louisville Comedy Club, if you're in town. But anyway, I did an open mic on Wednesday night. It was phenomenal. And then afterwards talking to a handful of comics, they're like, everybody's trying to get work. And then I get back to the hotel room. Lauren's like, how was it? And I was like, it was great. It was actually a good open mic. Everybody was, trying to talk to the manager to get work. And I'm like, maybe I should have tried to talk to the manager. So I went back on Thursday, the next day. And I'm like, hey, I'd love to try to work here. Can you tell me what I need to do? And they're like, oh, yeah, you were at the open mic last night. It's like, yeah. It's like, oh, I loved your Fox News bit. It's like, oh, thanks. And I called my mom to tell her most of the punchlines. I was like, great. Well, that's good. Hopefully no one was offended. But he loved it. So that was good. And I did make an ass out of myself. And then he got the manager, and she said, well, I can't put you up tonight, but if you stick around to Sunday, I've got an MC spot available for you, which was a great tryout for me. Anyway, so thank you to the Louisville Comedy Club for throwing me up on a Sunday night. We ended up staying, a total of 5 nights, and there's way worse towns you can spend extra time in. We stayed in a lot of them. So this was a great one. And I went to the Woodford Reserve Distillery. I almost forgot where we were going there. It's our favorite whiskey, and forgot the name. But Woodford, great place, super fun. They have a nice experience, like a tasting there. If you're in Louisville, definitely make time to do that. They like their bourbon. This is getting to be a long-winded thing just about the road trip, but we're going to keep plowing ahead. We're going to keep on trucking because we had more cities. Louisville, and then Columbus, and then a long drive back to New York. 8 hours, not 8 or 9 hours, not that bad. But the one thing we learned was we actually enjoy the more frequent but shorter drives. Like a 4-hour drive from Louisville to Columbus was way more fun than a 10-hour drive from Richmond to Nashville. And if you have the time, I highly recommend doing it that way. We actually enjoyed it so much more because then you actually stick around in the town for a few hours. You get in at 1 o'clock. And you can enjoy a little bit of what the city has to offer and then skip out of town the next morning. As opposed to a 10-hour drive where you get in at 5 and you're just tired. You want to have a couple of cocktails and go to bed. So we just now have the cocktails in the car. That's what we do, is just drink as we're driving. So it's really killing two birds with one stone, and potentially more, as you're swerving around the road. But it's actually, it's more efficient that way, is what I'm trying to say. So drinking and driving, good thing. That's the key takeaway. Drinking and driving, good thing. Please don't make, I better, when I go do cuts from this, and like for social media and stuff, just note to self, Anthony, don't do that one phrase. I feel like people may take that out of context. Drinking and driving, it's very efficient. I'm sure somebody could make arguments for, an idiot could make an argument for like, well, there's, I'm not drinking, I'm not that drunk, it's whatever. But the efficiency argument, I feel like that one's on thin ice. I don't know if that's a very, I don't think you're going to convince many people that having a drink in the car is okay by arguing that it's more efficient. But I'm going to try. I'm going to try to do it. But yeah, we enjoyed those 4-hour drives, especially because like sometimes when you're gearing up for a 9-hour drive, they can drag on, but we've got our system down now. I drove every mile of it. Lauren was a phenomenal navigator, and she would just punch in the address of where we were going and then take an 8-hour nap. And frankly, she aced her job. Okay. And, she's like, okay, I'll set a course, and, all you have to do is just drive for 9 hours. And, she's like, well, I did the hard work. And then she passed out for 6 to 8 hours, waking up occasionally because there were some bumpy roads, as we had to take Bailey out. But she was a champ, number one navigator. And you need someone to get I'm a 10 and 2 guy, 9 and 3 really. Sometimes I'm a little bit 4 and 8, and I don't take my hands off the wheel ever. So I need someone to put my sunglasses on, and she's great at that. So shout out to the wife for being a really good navigator and first mate. So the road trip was good, but now we're back. Missed the city very much. So many things just missed. Okay, so we get to some news here. This is what's happening. This is what happening? God, what does that even mean? Okay, I don't know. Okay, here we go. All right, so Queen Elizabeth II's Platinum Jubilee is going on right now. She's ruled for longer than anyone else has, which is saying something. 70 years. That's a long, I can't imagine doing anything for 70 years. Although, I was married when I was 23, and if I live long enough, maybe I could imagine that. But here's my question. Is 70 years too long? What's the upper limit? Like, is there a point at which it's kind of like, hey, maybe we should get somebody else on that throne, get you relax. Maybe you should relax. Take some time off. Maybe she thinks it's a retirement party. Did no one tell her? That's the other thing I want to know about English royalty, British royalty. Has nobody told them they're unnecessary? Like they did their job. Great. You expanded and sold tea everywhere you could sell it. But then now, you have other people, you have a prime minister, you have people that wear wigs running around, I think is what they do. You have upper house and lower house, or House of Commons, House of Lords, or whatever. So you've got other people now to do that job. And I don't know, maybe you don't need to be there. Wouldn't you like to, after 70 years, wouldn't you like to retire? Just like say, you know what, I'm done. I'm out. I've ruled for long enough. That's got to be grueling. Like, you're still, I don't know how old she is. She looks, 60, 65. I think she's got to be older if she's ruled since, for 70 years. So maybe she's 80. How young of a ruler was she when she took over? I don't know. This is does anybody know? This is a mystery. These are things we need to find out here on the Pope podcast. But she looks great. But yeah, wouldn't you want to retire? Maybe fly a kite. I don't know what her hobbies would be. Watching people ride horses, racing dogs. Maybe she's got, a vice. I know it's like a martini a day, but maybe have two. I don't know. The pictures, though, look great. She's wearing a lovely little hat. And I think the hat should get bigger every year. I think, instead of medals for military people, get a bigger hat for each year that you rule from the throne. Each year that you're on the throne, get a bigger hat. I'd like to know what their responsibilities are before I apply for this job. It appears to be a lot of smiling and waving. They nail that. Every picture, it's just a smile and a wave. For those people at home, I'm waving and smiling into the camera. Again, this is on YouTube. I think I'm not on Twitch. I don't think I'm young enough for Twitch. Maybe soon I'll get on. But I'm not. I've unfortunately passed puberty, so I don't think I'm allowed on Twitch. But yeah, that's smiling and waving. That's what they look good doing it. Maybe that's their job. They're the face of the country, and they can't really negotiate or do anything official. But man, having a face, like, who else are you going to put on the currency? Come on. You going to put the baby on? Is it a boy or, I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. When does he get on the currency? That's what I want to know. He's a royal, right? He's got like a direct line. I don't know how those work. I know she had two sons, both with red hair, one with less than the other, I think. And then they both married. But I can't remember, who's in line and who's not. But when is their time? Anyway, that's the big news. I know this isn't quite as big of a deal here as it is in England. Do people in Canada? I know that they still are royal subjects of the Queen, but I don't know. Oh, I also read this article that said that air-conditioned offices, that workers returning to the office are getting a little angry, a little persnickety about the temperature in the office, and because the offices are setting it too low. This is how great life is for these people, where they're on the fence about whether or not to come back to the office because it's a little chilly. And the article, I had to pause there because my freezer was refilling its water reservoir for the ice tray thing. Keep it down. I'm trying to do a video. God. But I love how in this article it talks about, I like to set it when I was at home. During the pandemic, I set my thermostat to 78 degrees. Oh God. Everybody in the article, by the way, looks like somebody you would not want to work with. It's the gal with the wrist brace who constantly like rubs it and talks about her carpal tunnel, and it's great. It's like, dude, just how much are you mousing? Dude, maybe try something different. Like, I sit hunched over, at a pewter frequently, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just lucky to not have a bad wrist or something. But get yourself a little wristy support. Everybody needs a wristy support. Or two, I guess. But maybe I don't know. But wear it at home. Is there a brace that you can wear? You look like a goofball. I don't know. I feel bad for you. Maybe wear a bigger brace. Maybe that's it for a shorter amount of time. But those people that they'll sit in the office and they'll just sigh from the cube next to you, and you'll just hear it, and it's worse than like a baby crying in the office. It's just someone going, God. Oh boy. And then you've got to like pop up. Oh, what's wrong, Kathy? Oh, nothing. Just my wrist is killing me. God. Okay. So I'm very sorry that that's affecting you so bad. This is the only reason I don't have a job is I think it's going to be too cold. So maybe I really, look, these people I secretly want to work with. I like keeping the thermostat as high as I can because that's one thing I'd like to do when I go back to work. when I work is sweat. And I sweat as soon as it hits 71 degrees. In our home, we keep it at 70 max. On a very hot day in summer, I let it get up to 72. But we don't have a wine cooler. So, if it gets any higher than that, then we have to drink it all fast. So, anyway, I love that this is the problem that people have at work is, it's too cold. Put on a sweater. Here's the deal. It's a lot easier for you to put on a sweater than it is for me to take off my shirt. Is that what you want to see? Is that what, you put it up to 75 degrees. So, Kathy can feel comfortable again. Then she can take the blanket off or quit sighing or whatever. And then now you've got me shirtless with a wet towel wrapped around my neck. Is that what you want, Kathy? I don't know why I'm picking on Kathy. It's a great name. I love it. I know several Kathys and they're all wonderful. Except this one in this article. I just couldn't do it. Here's another article. Restaurants add new fees to your check to counter inflation. Okay, first of all, they're not countering inflation. They're supporting it. That's how that works. It's not like they've got a stick and they're like whack-a-mole with inflation. They're like, inflation, I got you. No, you're just contributing to it. You're raising your prices and then everybody else is going to raise theirs all the way down. This is what I've actually stopped going to some restaurants because they've started tacking on fees. Like during the pandemic, there was one restaurant, I won't name it, Fairfax, that added a $4 charge, and it was for COVID, like the pandemic. And because they were the only ones suffering during the pandemic. And, their thought was, look, we're the only ones affected. And it's definitely not affecting any of the restaurant patrons, the people who are coming here to eat. So we should charge them. And I saw that once. I'm like, well, I think that's the last time I go back there. They have really good tater tots, though. So I did go back once or twice. I think they have since stopped doing that. So Fairfax, thank you for having some common sense. There's another one though, right up here in my neighborhood that I used to love going to, and they now charge like a 4% fee for your credit card. So I don't go there because nobody's going to carry cash. Actually, a lot of people probably in Hell's Kitchen do carry cash. I think most people here are either born in the 40s and were born like in the building across the street, or they deal exclusively in cash. They might be drug dealers. But it's a fun neighborhood because of that. But I don't like when restaurants do that. Just make the food more expensive. Just don't tell me about it. That's fine. In fact, why? I don't know why you need to pull out another line item for a fuel surcharge or a credit card additional fee. I get that you're taking it right from the credit cards. I understand. Just raise the price of everything. That's what everybody else is doing. I don't, or go the other way and do a surcharge, do 20 different line items. I want to see every line cook's name on there to support their wellness fund, or their kids' college fund. Do that. Go the opposite direction. Put little pictures next to each one of those little line items. It's like the additional $5 you've been charged here are going to support each of these guys' kids to go to school. Fine. Put on a spinach tax, if it's more expensive. I don't care. Show me. So either go all the way, or just don't do any of it. I mean, nobody asks me what I think. Got some window washer action coming on here. So if it sounds like somebody's trying to break in, they're not. I don't think you guys at home can see it. No. And really, I'm just talking to my mom. But hey, Mom, I don't think you can see that. If you hear something, it's the window washers. I'm not getting attacked from the outside. But that's, so don't, restaurants, what are you doing? Just raise your price. I mean, it's still not going to counter inflation, but raise it. That way you'll take the steam out of my argument. And because here's the other thing is, you don't tell us beforehand. Nobody knows about this extra fee. unless I start going into restaurants like, hey, I'd like the scrambled eggs and some toast. And by the way, do you have any extra fees that I'm going to be surprised by at the end of this meal when you bring the bill? Just nobody's going to do that. And it's just, that's why I think I'm enraged. This is me, by the way, enraged at this thing. So stop it. Just put it in the food, put it in the price. Go the European commie VAT tax route where we don't even know about it. It's just hidden in the price of a thing. If it says it costs 10 euros, that's what I'm paying. And you figure out what to do with the money and the taxes and all that stuff. So that's the only maybe we should embrace communism and become like the Europeans, because it takes the guesswork out of restaurant bills, and they don't tip, which I love. I'm not saying waiters don't deserve the money. I'm saying I don't like to do math at the end of a meal and when I'm 4 cocktails deep. So just, just charge a little bit more. And, I'm sure there will be people that are like, well, my hamburger costs 16 and it used to cost 15. You know what? They'll complain once and then they'll forget all about it. There's a restaurant across the street that I love going to. And I'm like, we went in a couple weeks ago or right before the road trip. And I was saying to Lauren, I'm like, I think the burger used to be $1 cheaper. And she's like, maybe, I don't know. And you know what? I still got it. I don't care. Because I'm okay paying $1 more for like a thing that I'm getting that's a little bit more expensive. I don't like paying for a nickel and dimed, tagged on at the end kind of a thing. Or list everything. Like I said, go all the way to the other end. Tell me how much more the pickles are. A pickle surcharge on the burger. Look, our pickle budget, we don't have room for it, so we're passing it on to you guys. That's okay. Give me like a CVS length receipt for a hamburger. Each patty. Now that costs an additional 10 cents. Cool. Great. Because then at least I understand what it's going towards. Anyway, I eat out a lot. So that's like one thing that I experience frequently. Although maybe not anymore. Maybe I'm just going to stop eating out, especially since I'm trying to eat better. It's hard to do that when you go out to restaurants because you never know, like, oh, it looks healthy, but who knows what's in there. This is going like a conspiracy theory route. I mean, who knows how much they put in that salad? It could be full of fat and trans fats. And, is that even okay to say? Can we call them trans fats? They have rights too. I think there should be a place for trans fats. I think they've been oft maligned and maybe it's their time. All right. Oh, here's what I'm super excited about. I love golf. I love watching golf. I love playing golf. I'm writing a bit that involves me playing golf. That's not important. Nobody cares. But have you heard about the whole Saudi Arabian backed alternative league? Excuse me. But yeah, have you heard about this new Saudi Arabia backed alternative league? It's basically a competitor to the PGA Tour and I think the PGA Championship. There's a couple of organizations that oversee different championships that we watch, at home. But now there's a new player, and some players are getting in trouble for saying, "Yeah, I'll play." Dustin Johnson, one of the world's best, is playing in the new LIV tournament. I'm actually super excited. What do we think about this? I want to know your thoughts, because the PGA makes it sound like they're defecting, like there's only one. This is where there's only one place for you to play golf, and it's on this tour. But now all of a sudden there's another tour, and they're offering a lot of money. I think the first tournament was a $25 million purse, which is incredible. It's like over twice what most of the other purses are, I think. I can't even remember what the next largest is on the PGA Tour, but it's not $25 million. But so now Dustin Johnson's playing on there, Graham McDowell, I think Lee Westwood, Ian Poulter. So, Sergio Garcia's in there. Now, granted, I know those guys may not have a ton to lose because they're they're getting up there. They're like whatever, 40 and change. And I think DJ's maybe 36, 39. So it's not like, I mean, they're still DJ's at least still a top contender, but you know, some of the other guys aren't. And obviously this is way more money. But, you know, a lot of people the PGA got mad. They sent a stern letter saying you can't do that. Frankly, I'm for this. I love that these players have more options to make more money and entertain us, because really I don't care about them. It's about us. It's about the entertainment, somebody to root for. And now we get more opportunities to root for people who can make a lot more money, it's great. I know Phyllis, Man Boobs Mickelson, got in some hot water, I think back in February when this guy was an idiot the way he said it. But he was like, well, you know, okay, the way he phrased it was terrible, because all he could have said was, you know, I'm looking forward to playing for an alternative tour, or I'm, you know, checking it out, whatever. But he set up like this weird straw man thing. It wasn't even a straw man. He basically said, despite Saudi Arabia's human rights record, I still want to play. And like, that's why would you even include that? Why not just say like, look, they had a really compelling offer. It's a ton of money. I'm excited to help shape this new tour, whatever. Make up anything along those lines. The one thing you don't say is, hey, despite all these terrible things that they're known to have done, I'm still going to play there. That's the one, just don't say that. He would have been fine had he not said that. But man. That's like, I don't know. If you're I don't know, if you're thinking about getting married or something to somebody with a storied past, but maybe there's a lot in it for you, you know, and your buddy's like, well, why are you marrying her? You could just talk about the positives, like, oh, you know, she's really funny. We have a great time together, whatever it is. But instead your friend's like, well, you know, why are you marrying her? And you're like, look, despite her criminal past, her hard time that she's done, I'm still going to marry her. It's like, what? Just don't even bring it up. We don't need to know. You don't need to. Then it makes you look like you're making a terrible decision. And he did get in hot water for it, which is fine. It's not like the guy's never been in hot water before, but he's taken quite a few baths. But anyway, I don't know. Is he a bath guy? Maybe like an ice bath. I know athletes do that. Although that's the one thing I love about golf is some of these guys are not athletes. They are great golfers, but they are not athletes. Which is, it makes it feel like you could just pinch hit. You know, if they were like, look, I can't swing today. Can Anthony? Can we just get him in, take my spot at least for the back nine? It makes and these guys they're all great golfers, right? And it makes it feel like you could do that. Especially like if you look at the shape of them, they look like regular guys. I think that's one reason I love golf. Love watching golf is because they just look like regular dudes playing golf. Like people that you would go have a beer with at the 19th hole, you know? Some of them are, you know, athletic, but and they train, but like so many of them don't. And I love that there's a sport for regular people. And I know that they train very hard at the sport. Like that's different. That's like being a quant, like a math guy on Wall Street or something. So, you know, you've gone to school, you've worked out your mind, you've trained on that. But, and these guys obviously play, you know, a ton of golf, but I love the fact that it looks like anybody could just drop in and do it. Especially on the Champions Tour. Like those guys are like prime golfing age, you know, 55. And, anyway, and it's great. It's a level playing field, which is really an American idea. Making it equal access to all things and in upper movement, upper mobility. No, what's the phrase? I can't think of it. Upward mobility. There we go. I think you have to be able to say the phrase to be able to experience it at some point. All right, we're going to end it here. Thank you so much for listening. I I don't know how to end this. I want to say thank you so much for listening. I missed you. I hope you missed me as well. Follow, I'm on Instagram at Anthony Ledonne. Ledonne is how you spell my last name. Or you can follow the podcast at pote_pod. And what else we got? I think that's it for now. We'll see you next week. All right, bye.